Welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're going to Portugal. We're uncorking the secrets of Portuguese wines.
Mm.
A world of sun-drenched vineyards,
Yes.
centuries-old tradition,
Centuries.
and a whole lot of grapes you've probably never even heard of.
Exactly right.
But before we start going into all the specifics, what's one thing that really stands out about Portuguese wines?
The incredible diversity.
Okay.
Over 250 native grape varieties. That's more than almost any other country in the world.
Wow, 250. That's crazy.
It is.
So we're not just talking about a few signature wines here.
No.
We're talking about a whole spectrum of flavors and styles,
Exactly.
and all from just one country.
Yes. Because each region in Portugal boasts its own unique terroir.
Unique terroir. Now, what is that?
Its climate, soil, and centuries-old traditions, all contributing to wines with distinct personalities.
So each bottle is like a snapshot of a specific place.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And time.
And time.
And what about the history? Like, how far back does this go?
The history of Portuguese wines is just as layered and complex as the wines themselves.
Oh.
We're talking about Roman influence,
Oh, wow.
the crucial role of monasteries in preserving winemaking traditions during the Middle Ages, and the age of exploration, when Portuguese wines were literally setting sail around the globe.
Wow, that's a long history.
Imagine those explorers discovering new lands with a bottle of Portuguese wine tucked away in their cargo.
I love that image.
Yes.
So Portuguese wines have been shaping the world's palate for centuries.
Absolutely.
So before we get lost in all of this,
Yes.
what are the basics? Like, what are the categories that I need to know?
Okay, so you'll see Portuguese wines broadly categorized as Tinto for red or Branco for white.
Tinto and Branco, okay.
And then there's a distinction between autochtones, which refers to those amazing native grapes,
Autocone.
versus international varieties you might already be familiar with.
Got it. Okay, so now we've got our compass.
Yes.
Let's set sail for the reds. What are some of the star Tinto grapes that we should be on the lookout for?
When it comes to Portuguese reds, the undisputed queen is Touriga Nacional.
Touriga Nacional. All right, so tell me about this queen. What makes her so special?
Imagine a wine that's both powerful and elegant,
Mm.
with a depth of flavor that unfolds on your palate like a symphony. You get ripe black fruits like plums and blackberries, a hint of cassis, and then these delicate floral notes of violets, often intertwined with a whisper of black pepper. And the truly remarkable thing about Touriga Nacional is its ability to age gracefully, developing even greater complexity over time.
Okay, so it ages well.
Yes.
Why? Is that tannins?
Exactly.
Okay.
You're exactly right. Touriga Nacional is known for its well-integrated tannins.
Okay.
Tannins are those compounds in wine that give it structure and a bit of grip.
Yeah.
But in Touriga Nacional, they're beautifully balanced, so you don't get any harshness.
Okay.
Just a lovely velvety texture that contributes to its aging potential.
So it's a wine for sipping and savoring.
Yes.
All right, Touriga Nacional is the queen of Portuguese reds. What other red grapes should we be seeking out?
Another one to watch for is Aragonés, also known as Tinto Roriz in some parts of Portugal and Tempranillo across the border in Spain. This grape is a true chameleon, adapting to different terroirs and bringing its own unique flair to each blend.
So if Touriga Nacional is the queen, Aragonés is the shapeshifter.
I love that analogy. And it's a shapeshifter that consistently delivers deliciousness. Think juicy red fruit flavors, often with a touch of spice. It's a crowd pleaser and a great starting point for exploring Portuguese reds.
Elegance, versatility. Now, what about that rustic charm that we think of with the Portuguese countryside? Is there a wine for that?
For that, you have to look to Castellão. This grape is deeply rooted in the Alentejo region, a place known for its rolling plains, sun-drenched vineyards, and a slower pace of life.
So Castellão is a wine that whispers tales of the land.
I like that.
What kind of flavors should I expect?
Imagine a wine that's both earthy and smooth. Castellón typically has softer tannins than Touriga Nacional and offers up flavors of leather, tobacco, and sometimes a hint of wild herbs. It's a wine that speaks of sunshine and soil, a true taste of the Portuguese terroir.
That sounds incredible.
It is.
Okay. We've got our queen, we've got our shapeshifter, we've got our rustic charmer. Are there any hidden gems waiting to be discovered?
Oh, absolutely. Portugal is a treasure trove of undiscovered grapes. For instance, have you ever heard of Alfroquero?
Alfroquero. No, I have not.
This is a grape that packs a punch. Alfroquero has bold tannins and intense aromas, making it ideal for aging.
Okay.
Think dark fruit, spice, and a hint of something wild. It's a wine that demands attention.
All right. Alfroquero.
Yeah.
What about Baga? You mentioned it earlier. That sounds interesting.
Baga. This one hails from the Baroda region, and it's not for the faint of heart.
Okay.
Baga produces full-bodied wines with high acidity, known for their ability to age beautifully and develop incredibly complex flavors over time.
So our queen, our chameleon, our rustic charmer, our bold adventurer,
Yes.
and our complex ager. It seems like Portuguese reds really do offer something for everyone.
They do.
Before we move on to the whites,
Yes.
what has stood out to you about these Portuguese reds?
The connection between the grapes and the land.
Yeah, me too.
It's like each wine is a story waiting to be told, a story of a particular place and its people.
That's what I like about wine in general.
Yes.
But now let's turn our attention to the Branco wines, the white wines, because they have some fascinating tales to tell as well.
They do.
We're going to talk about the whites after the break.
All right, so we journey to the coast where the Atlantic breeze whispers secrets to the vines.
Yes!
It's time to dive into the world of Portuguese Branco.
Yes.
Those crisp, refreshing whites
They are?
that are just begging to be paired with sunshine and seafood.
Absolutely.
So where do we start?
If you're looking for the quintessential taste of Portugal's Atlantic coast, you have to start with Alvarinho.
Alvarinho. Tell
Yeah.
me more. Alvarinho is the star of Vinho Verde, which literally means green wine.
Green wine.
But don't let the name fool you. It's not actually green in color.
Okay.
The green refers to its youthful vibrancy and the fact that it's often enjoyed young and fresh.
So green wine is more about a feeling
Yes.
than a literal color.
Exactly. It's about capturing that youthful energy, that sense of aliveness that you get from a wine that's bursting with freshness.
Like a splash of sea spray on your palate.
I like that.
So zesty citrus flavors, a touch of minerality, and a crisp acidity.
Precisely.
Okay, I'm sold. What's the perfect food pairing?
Oh, that's easy. Freshly grilled sardines, drizzled with a bit of olive oil and lemon juice.
You had me at sardines.
The acidity of the Vinho Verde cuts through the richness of the fish, and those citrus notes complement the flavors beautifully.
Okay, that is going on my to-do list.
It should.
But I know there's a whole world of Portuguese Branco out there.
Oh, yes.
What other grapes should we be looking for?
If you're looking for a white wine that can stand the test of time, Arinto is your grape.
Arinto.
Okay, this one's all about minerality and complexity. Imagine a wine that tastes like a walk along a rocky coastline. You get those bracing mineral notes, almost like wet stones, a zesty lemon peel character, and a subtle saline quality that reminds you of the sea.
Wet stones and saline, those are not your typical wine descriptors.
That's what makes Arinto so intriguing.
Okay, so Alvarinho is our vibrant, youthful surfer.
I like that.
And Arinto is our contemplative, age-worthy poet.
Yes. And if you're looking for a white wine that's both charming and versatile, Fernand Pires is your go-to grape.
Fernand Pires. Okay, so what's Fernand Pires all about?
Fernand Pires is a bit of a chameleon, capable of producing a wide range of styles.
Okay.
But the hallmark of this grape is its delightful aroma. Think delicate white flowers, a touch of citrus, and often a hint of honeydew melon.
So the perfect wine for any occasion.
Exactly.
Okay, I like it. Now, you mentioned some lesser-known grapes earlier. What other surprises does Portugal have in store for us in the Branco category?
Yes. Portugal is a land of hidden gems, and its white wines are no exception.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Bicao?
Pickle.
Bicao hails from the Baroda region.
Okay.
It produces elegant wines with a beautiful balance of citrus and floral notes, reminiscent of Fernand Pires, but with a bit more depth and structure.
So it's like Fernand Pires' sophisticated older sibling?
I like that. And then there's Cercial, a grape that's primarily found in the Douro region.
Cercial.
The Cercial is all about that bright, laser-sharp acidity. Imagine biting into a perfectly ripe lemon. That's the kind of sensation you get from a Cercial.
I love that.
It's a wine that wakes up your palate
All right.
and pairs beautifully with lighter dishes.
Okay, so we've got all these great grapes,
We do.
and they all have these distinct personalities and stories.
They do.
But how do I develop a deeper appreciation? How do I taste wine like a pro?
It's all about engaging your senses and being
Yeah.
present in the moment.
Oh.
Think of it as a sensory exploration, a journey of discovery. And the beauty of it is there's no right or wrong answer. It's all about what you experience and how the wine makes you feel.
So less technical knowledge and more mindful enjoyment.
Exactly.
I like that.
It all starts with sight. Believe it or not, the color of the wine can tell you a lot.
Really?
The color can provide clues about the age of the wine, the grape variety, and even the winemaking techniques used.
So just by looking at the wine,
Yes.
we can start to unlock its secrets.
Precisely. It's like reading the first chapter of a story.
Okay, what's next?
Next comes smell. Gently swirl the wine in your glass to release those aromatic compounds.
Ah, so that's why people swirl their wine. I always thought it was just for show.
There's definitely a science to it.
Okay.
Swirling helps to aerate the wine, allowing those hidden aromas to escape and express themselves.
All right, I'm swirling. What should I be looking for?
Well, that's the beauty of it. There's such a diverse range.
Yeah.
You might encounter anything from bright citrus and tropical fruits to delicate florals, earthy herbs, warm spices, and even mineral notes like those whetstones we were talking about earlier.
Oh,
Don't be afraid to really get your nose in there and explore. What do you smell?
I'm getting a hint of lemon zest,
Okay.
maybe some white flowers, and something that reminds me of the ocean.
Excellent.
Okay, so we've used our eyes,
Yes.
we've used our noses.
Yes.
Now it's time for the best part, the taste.
Finally, we arrive at taste.
Now, I usually jump straight to this step,
Yeah.
but I'm starting to see the value of slowing down
Yes.
and engaging all my senses.
It makes a difference.
So when we finally take that sip,
Yes.
what should we be paying attention to?
Pay attention to the balance of sweetness, acidity, tannins, and the overall feel in your mouth.
Okay.
Notice how long the flavor lingers on your palate after you swallow.
Okay.
That's called the finish. And it can tell you a lot about the quality and complexity of the wine.
So it's about more than just, do I like it? It's about understanding why I like it.
Yeah.
What makes it taste the way it does.
Precisely.
Okay. Now, I always struggle with pairing wine with food.
I know.
It feels like there are so many rules,
There are.
and I'm always afraid of making a mistake.
I understand.
Can you give us some guidance?
Of course. It's not about rigid rules.
Okay.
It's about finding harmony between the wine and the food,
Harmony.
creating a symphony of flavors that complement and enhance each other.
So what are some basic principles?
Acidity in wine cuts through richness or fatty foods.
Ew, okay, that makes sense.
For example, that crisp Vino Verde we were talking about would be a perfect match for grilled sardines or a creamy seafood pasta.
I knew those sardines would come back.
Yes.
What about tannins?
Tannins, which you find primarily in red wines, have an affinity for proteins.
Okay.
So a tannic red, like a Douro wine, would pair beautifully with a grilled steak or a hearty lamb stew.
Got it. Acidity cuts through richness.
Yes.
Tannins love protein. Now let's get specific. What are some classic Portuguese pairings?
Well, we've already touched on a few grilled sardines and Vinho Verde,
Of course.
a hearty stew with a Douro red. But have you ever tried caldo verde?
Caldo Verde.
It's a traditional Portuguese soup made with potatoes, kale, and chorizo.
Sounds delicious.
It pairs beautifully with a crisp, mineral-driven white, like an Orinto.
Okay.
What about something decadent?
Yeah.
Imagine a creamy Serra da Estrela cheese
Okay.
paired with a glass of tawny port.
Wow.
The sweetness and nuttiness of the port complement the creamy texture and savory notes of the cheese beautifully.
Okay, now I'm seriously hungry.
Yes,
These pairings sound divine.
they are.
But what if we want to get adventurous? Can we venture beyond traditional Portuguese cuisine?
Absolutely. That's where the real fun begins.
Okay.
Remember, wine pairing is all about exploration and finding what you enjoy.
I like that.
How about sushi with a Loureiro?
Sushi and Portuguese wine.
The floral notes and citrusy zest of the Loureiro complement the delicate flavors of the fish beautifully.
Okay, that's a new one.
Or imagine a spicy Indian curry with a glass of full-bodied Douro red.
Okay.
The tannins in the wine help to tame the heat of the spices,
Interesting.
and the fruit flavors of the wine provide a lovely counterpoint to the richness of the curry.
These are game changers. I'm seeing that wine pairing is less about rules and more about being open to new experiences.
Exactly.
You've given us so much to think about.
Good.
Before we wrap up,
Yes.
what's one final piece of advice you would give to our listeners?
Don't be afraid to venture beyond the familiar. Portuguese wines offer an incredible tapestry of flavors and styles, and there's a perfect bottle out there waiting to be discovered by every palate.
I am so ready to plan my next trip to the wine store.
Good.
We've covered so much.
We have.
The Touriga Nacional, the Alvarinho,
Yes.
Arinto, Bicol, Sorcio.
Couple stars.
For someone just starting out,
Yes.
what's the one thing they should remember?
Don't be afraid to venture beyond the familiar. Portuguese wines offer an incredible tapestry of flavors and styles.
So ditch those preconceived notions.
Yes.
Embrace the adventure.
Exactly.
Let your curiosity be your guide.
Precisely.
Now, we've talked about all these unique characteristics.
Hmm.
What makes the Portuguese approach to winemaking so special?
One thing that truly distinguishes Portuguese winemaking is this deep respect for tradition combined with a willingness to innovate.
So it's like a blend of old and new.
Exactly. You see this reflected in everything from the way they cultivate their vineyards to the way they blend their wines.
So they're honoring the past while also looking towards the future.
Precisely. And this philosophy is reflected in the wines themselves.
I like that.
You find this beautiful balance between tradition and innovation, a sense of history intertwined with a vibrancy and a freshness that's truly captivating.
Each glass is like a journey through time,
Mm-hmm.
a taste of Portugal's rich cultural heritage.
Beautifully put.
You've given us so much to think about. We've journeyed through vineyards,
Yeah.
uncorked hidden gems,
Yes.
and discovered the secrets of Portuguese winemaking.
It's been a pleasure.
I think you've inspired us to embrace the adventure,
I heard so.
to open our minds and palates
Yes.
to the extraordinary world of Portuguese wines.
That was the goal.
So to all our listeners out there,
Yes.
we raise a glass
For a copo.
to new discoveries and unforgettable taste experiences.
Saúde.
Saúde! And until next time, happy sipping.